One, two, three. I'm testing the microphone. Good afternoon, everyone. I have to see over there. Good afternoon. I'm Luquitas Montes, and I'm going to read another chapter of the book. At the last video, I made a mistake with the position of the microphone because it was uh, far away from me. So the audio in the last video was a bit low. So now I'm going to improve the sounds. I'm going to get a better audio. Well, let's start. The video that I'm reading is this, The Climb. I have to read the chapter 3. The name of this chapter is The Visit to the Shop. I have to turn down the volume of the music. The visit to the shop. Are you going out again? Eleni asked her brother. Later, Costas told her. First, I have work to do. I have to finish a book and then write some notes. Don't say anything to father about Eagle's Rock, she told him. He'll have to know soon, Costa said, but I won't say anything yet. Eleni went to have a shower. Costas went up to his room to change his clothes. Eleni dressed and ate some breakfast after her shower. Then she went off to the shop where she worked in the school holidays. Okay. The shop belonged to Mr. Papas. Okay. It sold books and postcards. It also sold pictures from a small gallery at the back of the shop. Most of the pictures were by painters who lived in the island. Many tourists came into the shop and to look at the paintings in the gallery. Good morning, Eleni, Mr. Papa said. I saw you swimming this morning. I waved, but you didn't see me. Oh, sorry, Mr. Papas, Eleni said, but it was lovely in the water. Mr. Papas went for a long walk along the cliff each morning. I see that you have visitors staying in your holiday villa, he said. I saw an open-topped car outside in the road. Yes, Eleni said, and she told Mr. Papas about Mr. Holland. He's a writer. Is he? Mr. Papas said. I'd like to meet him. I never meet a writer. Perhaps he will come to the shop and buy a book, Eleni said. She didn't say anything about Mr. Holland's unfriendliness. Perhaps her father was right. Perhaps Mr. Holland was just shy. It was a quiet morning in the shop. There weren't many tourists that day. Eleni put some things in the window and tidied the bookshelves. Mr. Papas went into the gallery to look at some new paintings. Later, a large black car stopped outside, and a man got out. He was a big man, and he wore a white suit, traje. Mr. Vitalis, said Mr. Papas. When the man came into the shop, it's good to see you again. Mr. Vitalis liked buying paintings. Many of the paintings in... Give me a minute. Many of the paintings in his home, Eagle House, were by famous artists. Eleni knew about them from Mr. Papas. The pictures are worth a lot of money, she told Costas. Some are probably worth thousands and thousands of pounds. Mr. Vitalis is very rich. He can buy as many paintings as he likes. Mr. Vitalis came to the shop 2 or 3 times a year to see the new pictures. Sometimes he bought one. Mr. Papas was always pleased to see the big man. Good morning, Mr. Papas, said Mr. Vitalis. What can you show me today? Any interesting new paintings? Good morning, Mr. Vitalis, Mr. Papas said. He took the big man through the gallery at the back of the shop. Make some coffee, Mr. Vitalis. Will you, Eleni? He called over his shoulder. Over his shoulder. Eleni went into the little kitchen at the side of the shop. She began to make some coffee. The shop looked out onto the narrow road and a cafe opposite. A waiter stood in the doorway of the cafe, looking worried. There weren't many customers. There was a man sitting at one of the outside tables. He was drinking coffee and reading. It's Mr. Holland, Eleni said to herself. Eleni, Mr. Papas called from the gallery. Where is the coffee? Come in, Mr. Papas, Eleni said. She took the coffee into the gallery. Mr. Vitalis was looking at a picture. He seemed to like it. Mr. Papas was watching him nervously. He was hoping to make a sale. A woman came into the shop. Good morning, Eleni said, going back into the shop. The woman bought some podcasts, and Eleni put them in a bag and took the money. Then a young man came in and bought a book. Soon after that, Mr. Vitalis and Mr. Papas came out of the gallery. Mr. Vitalis didn't want to buy any of the paintings. Eleni saw that Mr. Papas looked a little sad. Perhaps next time I'll see a picture that I like, Mr. Vitalis said. Thank you for the coffee, he said to Eleni. That's all right, Eleni said. After he left, Eleni went back to the kitchen. She began to wash the coffee cups. Then she looked out of the window at the cafe. The waiter was standing outside now. Mr. Holland was still sitting at his table, reading his book. Another person was sitting down at a table behind him. It was Mr. Vitalis. Mr. Vitalis called the waiter and spoke to him. The waiter brought him a glass of wine. Mr. Vitalis read his newspaper. Eleni went back into the shop. There were 3 tourists looking around. Eleni stood ready to help. Mr. Papas was talking to a woman who seemed interested in a paintings in the window. A man brought a book to Eleni. I will take this one, please, he said. Eleni took the money, and then the man and his wife left the shop. She looked across at the cafe again. Mr. Vitali was paying the waiter. A few minutes later, he walked back to his car. He left his newspaper on the cafe table. Eleni noticed. Soon, Mr. Holland got up to leave. He turned and looked behind him. Then he picked up Mr. Vitali's newspaper and put it under his arm. Why can't he buy one? Eleni thought. Mr. Vitalis left the coffee and went back to his car. He drove past the shop belongings to Mr. Papas and out of the town. Soon he was on the road to Eagle's house. It was a steep, narrow road. The big car had to slow down to turn the corners. Other cars waited for Mr. Vitalis to pass. Mr. Vitalis knew the road well. He didn't have to think about his driving. He was able to think about other things, to worry about his computer company. There is no much more time, he thought. I had to have money soon. Something will have to happen quickly if I'm going to save my business. It's been a bad year. Businesses has been poor. I've lost money in other ways too. I had to sell other businesses which I own on the island. He did this secretly. He didn't want other people to know about his problems. He looked up at the big white house, standing high on the cliff top. Perhaps I will have to sell Eagle's house, too, he thought. If that happens, I'll have to leave the island. I can't live here in a small house. People will laugh and say, "Look at him now. He's not a big important man now." I don't want that. Mr. Vitalis was afraid. As a young man, he knew how to be poor, but not now. It was easy to forget. I've made a lot of money in my life, he thought. Some honestly, some not. Mr. Vitalis didn't worry about this. When he had to cheat someone, he didn't think twice about it. His wife cheated him a long time ago. She took his money and went away with another man. Others cheated Mr. Vitalis when he was younger, but nobody cheated him today. He was too clever for that. Now he was in trouble, money trouble. But Mr. Vitalis had a plan. He thought about the man in the cafe. Will he do what I want him to do? Mr. Vitalis thought. If he doesn't, I'm in trouble. There is no time to find another man. There is no time to make another plan. He has to do it. He arrived at Eagle House and pushed a switch inside the car. The tall metal gates opened slowly and he drove through them. The gates closed and locked themselves after him. And we have finished this chapter. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to celebrate my birthday today, but my birthday was yesterday. So thanks for seeing my video. Thanks for my video. I don't know. And see you at the next chapter. Have a nice day.